everyone. I am here
Hello.
with Mark and Brian, and we are here to discuss all things Star Wars CCG. We have a few different exciting things to talk about today. Brian has some upcoming things for sale, which he's going to talk about, and Mark has some thoughts about the upcoming market. I have a PSA return that I'm going to open up here and I'll speak to. I also put together some data on some PSA population reports as of this recording, literally like less than 20 minutes of. So it's the most recent data we could find that is available to everyone, but I wanted to just compile things so we can discuss that as well. So, welcome to our chat, and I'm going to kick this off with Brian, since it sounds like he has a lot to speak about with his upcoming sales and stuff like that. So, welcome, Brian.
Hello. Yeah, I don't know how much big things I have left to sell anymore. I was just going through a sheet that had all of my sets and stuff on it. So I was just seeing how many extra sets I had to sell, and I might try and get it either a listing up in the forums on Facebook or do some auctions this coming week. But I do have some auctions live right now too. Not really anything too big. A few sealed things, Japanese foil Vader, a layoff rifle, some Theed Palace AIs that I got in a deal for one of my Darth Maul Young Apprentice foils. And then another Darth Maul Young Apprentice foil is up on eBay this week. So my last one, I've sold them all to try and get myself out of a football card debt. I need to sell the football cards now, but I'm scared to do them at auction because I know a lot less about posting those. I do Star Wars cards. I don't want to post up and have it go for nothing and then be like, oh, well, that sucks. So not a whole lot of new things for sale Star Wars wise, but it probably, I don't know. I'm not really transitioning out of Star Wars, selling Star Wars cards, but I've had to find ways, and those are what I had to raise money quickly to pay off the football cards. So, and I haven't got new cards in a while, but I mean, I'm not just trying to get out of Star Wars CCG. I still love to play. I still, sell, and I never really collected. Maybe I collected. I don't know, but I mean, I've spent a lot of money on football cards, and my personal collection for football cards is 10 cards. So 10 cards out of thousands that I've gone through. So I mean, not ever really a big collector, I would say, but yeah, I'm not getting out. People keep asking me though. They keep asking me if I'm getting out. I'm not trying to get out of Star Wars, so we'll put that rumor to rest. If anybody actually,
Hear
uh,
that, everyone? Brian is not giving up. You need
no,
to fund his debt replacement of football and get him back into Star Wars CCG. You mentioned something about auctions, and Mark, you had mentioned this earlier in a different conversation that a lot of people are hesitant to put things up for auction, and it feels like most stuff is on buy it now. And frankly, I'm guilty of that too. I certainly post stuff with buy it now, knowing it's probably not going to sell right away. But I have slowly transitioned to putting some things on auction that I know will sell, and they won't sell for quite the price I want, but it's almost worth it if I get like 80 or 90% of what I thought, because then I can apply that to something I actually want, and get rid of the bulk or extra. What are your thoughts on that, Mark? I know you had touched upon that, so I want to ask you about that first.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I feel like auctions are in general. Oh, sorry. Do you guys hear echoing?
yeah, a little bit on
Okay.
Kyle's end again.
Um, but yeah, for auctions, I feel like they can go significantly under buy it now prices, especially for things that aren't like the hottest items like Premier Vader, like some of the specialty cards. Like if I were to get a PSA 10 of, I don't know, really just like a random set card.
Authentic.
Yeah, like Soth Pelican.
That's a win.
uh, there'll be maybe for Soth Pelican, it would be really high demand. But for some of the other cards out there, right?
Off one.
You just have to have the right person at the right time for an auction, which is hard to do. Uh,
So yeah, I mean, what is your sense of the audience that's actually paying attention? Because I would say there's certainly people that are interested in it, but like you said, like they might not just be kind of paying attention. And I also find that sometimes the timing of when you post stuff can make a difference. I've certainly purchased things on auctions that I went for way lower than I thought, but they'd end at
Hmm.
like 11 in the morning, or some weird time that like everyone's at work and
Ended
wants their
during the Super
attention.
Bowl.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
fell
or you
victim
post
to
during the
that.
Super
Yeah,
Bowl and
I've
really no
made that
one's paying
mistake
attention.
plenty of times. Not paying
um,
attention to when your auction was ending.
I tried to get the beef red model of ending it on like midday on a Sunday because, you have the whole weekend to for it to be viewed. And I actually started listing it on a Thursday before for a 10-day auction. So I get 2
Mm.
weekends of people viewing it. Kind of helps sometimes. Like when it's really hot, the market, you get people bidding like both weekends. But it doesn't seem to make too much difference at the moment because it's a little cool, but it's heating up. Like that's part of why I listed a whole bunch of buy it nows recently. Uh, and I've
Yeah,
gotten a lot
for
of
those who
attention on
are
those
really
already.
just trying to fill the holes, right? Like, if I really need it and this is like something I want to complete my set, like I'm just gonna buy it. Like I don't,
There's a lot of people like that.
Well, I've
um,
noticed
That's
that
why
with
sometimes I like to have stuff at auction that I also have a buy it now price on, because somebody might see your auction and be like, "Oh, hey, I want this, but I don't want to compete for this." And then they see that there's just one buy it now, and they just grab that one.
like for example, the other day, there was that PSA 10 P59 super or ultra rare foil that went, right? And I think it went for just under 1,000. Like if that were a buy it now, I suspect it would go for at least a little bit more than that.
Oh yeah,
So it's just an example. I think especially for the high end cards right now, people have hesitancy because there's just not much of a precedent. So I think if you auction those like nines of really like already valuable cards raw or tens, you're probably better off if you can wait doing a buy it now if you're the seller.
yeah.
If you want maximum dollar.
I've got a lot of stuff I could say about my thoughts on these. If you guys want, I mean, I can make it pretty brief though if you guys want to hear.
please indulge us.
But okay, so you seen that like a lot of stuff. I mean, I know it's a little bit different when you're in debt and want money fast, but basically, I think that you're always obviously going to get less for auction unless it's like something that's like really really rare that never shows up for sale, like an Imperial class Star Destroyer that might sell for a lot. But like I basically won't sell things at auction that I'm not comfortable with just taking whatever I get. So those are the things I would sell at auction, either because I need money now or I just like have 1,000 EPP mall or something like that. I'm just like, if I get $60 for one and the buy it now prices are all 90s, it's like, I don't really care. But the buy it now prices, if you know, and the way I would sell right now, and when I start listing stuff, I probably will, is I'll look at all the prices for like what I say I want to sell EPP mall. I'll look at all the prices, and if the lowest one available is 90 with shipping included, I'm going to make sure mine is going to be 85 with shipping included, so that if somebody gets on there and wants to buy one, they're going to see mine, and mine's going to be the lowest. Because I mean, I don't want my stuff to just sit there and sit there and sit there. Because I mean, I'll take 85 for it. But yeah, the buy it now. All my football cards are buy it now. And then my theory with that too is I don't know as much about the football cards, so I wouldn't want to throw up, something that like the completed sales are like $300 for, and it goes for auction for $45. I just be like, oh,
But I would also say like sports cars being so much more established, has a
yeah. There's a
much
lot more
larger
completed auctions.
population pool to pull from, and many more comps. I mean, they could literally follow it like a stock market. Whereas like when I look at buy it now for slabs on eBay,
Slabs for Star Wars would be harder.
yes, slabs from Star
Mhm.
Wars CCG in general, like many of them are just overpriced, and maybe that's because they like having it in their
Why
PC, but they're willing to let it go if somebody
I feel
pays that
attacked.
price.
You
So
want
it's
to
like
know
it's like
what I do, like why I do that. I mean, I don't have not slabs, but for like stuff, because slabs are like not. I mean, the pops are out there, but they're not like you're gonna find probably on any given day, maybe like we'll say 5 Premier Darth Vaders for sale that aren't slabs, and maybe one Premier Darth Vader that is a slab. So finding the price for the completed isn't as good. So what I try and do is whatever number that I want to get for the thing, I'll put the buy it now at $200 higher, and then I'll put the accepting offers value for what I feel comfortable with getting, so that people can see that it's there, but you're still not going to like lose like a lot of money. They're going to see it. Oh, he has it at 1,200. I want this, but I'm going to try and offer 1,000 for it and see if he'll take it. Whereas I'm listing it at 1,200, but I actually want 1,000 for it. So they're actually giving me what I want for it by just putting it a little bit higher. Now, the people that have like the Darth Maul that was at like $10,000 or whatever, I think it was like a PSA 10 foil or something. It was like $10,000 for a while. That person's probably just trying to brag and be like, hey, I've got this. There's nobody in the right mind is spending $10,000 on a card.
Everyone's got
if I had a slab that I wanted to sell and it wasn't a big comp number, and it was something like say I had two PSA 10 Darth Vader, and I only wanted to have one, and I wanted to sell one. I'd post to buy it now like $200 higher than what I wanted, and then set the bids, the low amount of bids somebody could offer you at whatever I wanted to get for the card. So I mean that's a thing that I've been trying to do.
Yeah, I mean best offer makes total sense. I mean sometimes you think the card is going to be sold like quickly, then sometimes I almost don't want to do a best offer. I just want to be like, I just need to have it because I don't want to lose sleep over like putting in an offer when somebody just buys it outright. That would suck.
Yeah.
But that would have to be like pretty, hard to come across. Like there's certain cards like I'm on the lookout for. Like if I see them, it's just like I almost don't want to play a game with it.
Oh yeah.
But if it's something that has been printed enough that you're like, okay, if I don't win this now, like there's a chance I could get it within the next month.
Which comes in even bigger for like football cards. Whereas Star Wars, maybe you're less likely to see, like, say you need your Japanese Luke for your set or something, and like one, or I think you said you need a C-3PO, and he's like, I want a lot of, more than one people need C-3PO because he doesn't pop up as much. So if you see one of those, you'd be more likely to just be like, okay, I'm not messing around with this. I'm just taking this. Whereas like football cards, it's like different. You're just like, hey, you're like this Joe Burrow's card, you see this pop up, and you're just like, I can offer for that because there's going to be others of that are going to pop up. But with C-3PO Japanese, it might not be,
Yeah, well, with sports too, I mean, you figure these cards go up and down based on their performance.
Yeah, big
that
time.
Can change. So, like, Darth Vader's performance isn't going to change, So, like,
the football game is like so much crazier, like when do you buy a player, when do you hold a player, when do you sell a player, Star Wars sometimes is just like, holy crap, there's that C-3PO I've been looking at for, or like the Meteor Impact, these people, like 10 people need the card to complete their set, the one dude pays $2,000 for it or whatever he paid for it, it's like, I mean, sometimes if you want to get that set, sometimes you just have to take, be like, okay, I mean, I'm locked into this. I want to complete my set.
So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, like, based on the amount of things that have been submitted now, it's, been in the thousands, right? Slab wise, so
for Star Wars,
those, there's people.
I mean, millions for
sports
cards, thousands for Star Wars.
Yeah.
There's some that grade some, sell some, keep some, and then there's some that grade and just keep pretty much all of it, and maybe just sell duplicates.
And I think there's a few people out there that just sell everything. They just grade to sell. I can't remember the guy's name on eBay, but there was one guy that like every like couple months, he'd have like a ton of like stuff. They would just like be on there and be like, is this guy just like grading to sell? I don't know.
Yeah, and at first it was almost kind of like more of a novelty, right? Like, oh look, I'm the only one who has this card slab,
Soft Pelican.
Like Soft Pelican. I mean, that's
he's infamous
for the win. Like, what's really sad about that is I was working on looking through my special edition like second deck, and I was like, oh, I'm missing that card.
There's something missing
I
here.
was like, okay.
It's
like,
not
I
as bad as if
graded
you
this
were
card,
missing
and I
size
just
noodles,
wrote it in a
because there's that
binder
one
and
dude
forgot
that
about
just
it.
like hoards the size noodles.
I mean,
So,
it's a 99-cent rare. It's not something I'll lose sleep over, but
but if one guy has size noodles in his eBay search bar, and every time size noodles pops, he just buys it.
well, there's
You're not gonna get one.
Mike a mentor or somebody? I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
oh yeah,
The size noodles guy. He's bought like so many size. He asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you have any size noodles? Do you think could grade a 10 that I could buy from you?" I'm just like, you're probably gonna have to pull one from a pack if you want to get a. Because I mean, you guys said that the size or the soft pelican was from the you open a pack in half to send it to get graded, right? You guys told me
That was part of the pack to grade challenge.
Yeah, so I mean, he was pack fresh, and he still got an 8.5. So it's like getting a 10, for a pack fresh card. It's just like you may not even get it. Oh, for Mark, I thought I'd tell you the worst thing AI I have on eBay this week is pack fresh. So
Which one?
if you want to try and win that auction and
Which one is it?
Huh?
Which one is it? Which AI?
AI from Tatooine.
Ooh.
Or a Sig. Oh, okay. Well, I might have to give that a visit after this.
That from a pack, so that was my last worst thing I had to sell. And I asked you if you wanted it before, and you said you didn't really care about it the time I did ask you about it. But I mean, if it sells cheap enough, you might be able to. I mean, it looked really nice from what I saw.
We'll have to find a way. We'll see if we can do that.
The new challenge is the Beef Red to grade challenge. So just buy a card from Beef Red, grade it, and see how good it does.
That or a
without telling you that's what we did until after it's done.
That's right. That's fair. Mark already has like 5 Japanese and New Hope cards you sent in.
That's right, and I got your set on the way that I purchased from you. So Beef Red's a good place to go if you want cards. Go to him.
Except I don't have very much stuff left anymore. Not good stuff.
I
mean, I got
have to wait a bit.
Captain Hans and Jabba the Hutt. But
so is stuff shifting more to auction now? Like, are people getting more comfortable with that again, or
depends
just trying
on
to
how
push
you want to sell it? Because I feel like I take it every time I sell a big card. I feel like I take a hit. Like I feel like because Richie has like probably 5 Darth Maul Young Apprentice foils he's gotten for me that were remember like I had one video where I had 10 at the time, and now I've got 1, but I've sold all the other ones.
In fairness, that's his favorite character, so he will always buy Darth Maul.
I think what's missing right now is like, at least for graded cards, like a price, not necessarily a floor, but a sense of what something should be worth. Because I think that's what happens in sports cards. Like there will be certain cards people know, like, okay, this is about what this is worth. So if it's ever below that, someone's just going to try to bid it up to kind of that magic number. And that's just kind of missing at the moment. There's just not enough action.
Yes, and I would say for somebody like me, like, I do not think I will pursue a complete graded set of Premiere. Like that's a lot, right? All the sets in Star Wars CCG are fairly large. Whereas
you're just going to go for the Seekers, right?
Right. Whereas some of the tops and other tops parallels, they might break them down into 10 insert, 15 set insert, 25 cards insert. So you could go for like all the rares of like a small set, right? So part of the thing I was thinking of was, I got stacks of like, Rebel Leaders and Jedi packs and tournament foils and second and first anthology sealed stuff. Like maybe I could get complete sets of that, kind of like how people did complete tournament sets, not because they're super rare or super crazy, but because they're small enough sets that you could zero in on that and spend time just trying to get a clean set of that. And I think that's why the tournament set was also very appealing, because it's only 28 cards, right? Like
the foil set?
Yeah.
I feel like that in itself would still be really hard, because most of the ones that are floating around these days are the ones from Wild Things that were from those sheets that they cut up, that like most of them were just off-center to begin with.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have no doubt. I yeah.
Maybe like a Reflections 2 premium
like
set or
infinite.
something.
It was like, okay, so most of these are not worth anything, right?
Reflection
like
2 premium set might be like a little bit easier. Wouldn't be as cool though, because obviously it wouldn't be like a bunch of like.
You don't want a graded set of shields? That'd be pretty cool.
But my point remains, right?
And then use those as your shields for playing.
Yeah,
that'd be your slab stack. Just like sitting next to you at the start of the game.
Like if it were something tangible that people could like rally behind, like, oh, we could compete in, that's why the tournament set registry makes sense, and a few people like have that and have kind of dabbled in that because they know it's like only so many cards, but like realistically, like getting all 10s of literally any of the other sets, it's just
AIs
crazy.
might not be bad either.
But I think, there's some sort of subdivisions that make sense. Like you had the AIs and the episode 1 sets, or just kind of like the Power 8 in Premiere, like, the mains, like, was it Vader, the light side mains, Tarkin.
That would be an awful big thing too, just because of how bad the card quality was for Premiere.
Yeah,
The Vaders I sent you, like I knew they were all like a little bit off center, but once I got looking at them before I sent it to you, I was just like, man, I was so much, the confidence just drained out of me. I was like, I thought maybe one of them would be really good, and then as I looked at them, I was like, no.
You just gotta take the plunge.
Yeah, you could do something like where any card that has Vader in it or Vader referenced, grade that. So
that's one of the nice things.
Could be something.
What is thy bidding, my master?
Have a minute, but it's only Vader. That could be like a subset. Yeah, you're right.
Well, it's one of the nice things about Star Wars is there's lots of fans of, Vader, Fett, like pretty much any character that spends a significant amount of time on screen, or not as significant like Soth Pedican, but like you'll get someone who just wants to collect all the. You'll get someone who wants to collect, like, there'll probably be people who want to collect every like Boba Fett card or something. So
and then what I found too, I traded some Premiere cards. And a few Death Star packs to one of the breakers to get spots in the breaks, so I wouldn't have to spend money on them. And I would ask them, like, what did you get from the packs? He's like, oh, I was like, did you get any Vaders? And I'm talking like Darth Vader. And like, he's like, no, he's like, I just got a bunch of Leias. I'm like, a bunch of Leias? I was like, okay. And then the other day, he sends me a picture of one of his Death Star 2 packs that he opened, and he pulled Lord Vader from his pack. I was just like, holy crap, dude. I was like, that's one of the 3 best cards you can get. And next to the Darth Vader was a I Feel the Conflict. This just has the Vader's picture on it, right?
Yeah.
And so he, in his eyes, when you say Vader's, he's thinking just the cards that have Vader on it, not necessarily the main characters. So I mean, maybe it's not like, obviously not us, like as hardcore Star Wars collectors and players or whatever. We're not thinking that, but then like your average person that might stumble onto getting some cards. That might be what they might just be like, oh, I got this I Feel the Conflict, and they're just happy because it's a Vader on it,
Yeah, and I would definitely foster that excitement and allow them to have that moment. I wouldn't belittle that and say,
oh yeah, that's why I didn't say anything about the other one. I just was like, hey, I was like, that Lord Vader, that's like, if you could get a PSA 10 of that, that might be a $300 card or so,
I mean, at the end of the day, all of this is subjective, right? Really. But yeah, I wanna switch gears here and talk about some of the graded population reports. So
maybe before you get into that, I was just saying maybe you can like bring it up, like maybe like a contest or something. Like pick like a subset of cards that you come up with and see if anybody be interested in like.
I have
like
been thinking
maybe
about
it have
that.
to be a set that was easier to get, probably. Like maybe like Cloud City or Jabba's Palace something, but you could like maybe like see if like you could get people into wanting to grade to see how that like race to like PSA 10 random Jabba's Palace aliens or something,
Yeah, I have been thinking a lot about that because obviously, pack to grade was some fresh energy that, was needed.
It was interesting to me. I thought that was very interesting.
And it kickstarted something random, it just got people talking. And
I need to grade that loose lightsaber.
But I do want to do something similar like that. I haven't formulated what
you might be able to get a lot of interest from people, and even like from people that weren't interested before, that just like are like collector types, you never know.
Yeah, no, I mean you're definitely on the same wavelength with me. I have been thinking about that. I want something that I think a lot of people could participate in.
Like
but I
maybe
don't wanna
like
make
whiteboard or
something like a
Premiere
total
or something like
stretch.
that.
Um,
Something that's maybe like a little bit easier to get still,
yeah,
or
yeah,
Java's Palace. But Java's Palace wouldn't be fun because, I mean, at least with Premiere, you might get some sweet mains to try and get tens of, And I think that whiteboard or Premiere, the card quality and centering was much better just as a whole than Blackboard or Premiere was.
Oh, for
it
sure.
is.
And then
Yeah,
you got
whiteboard
like
is
Leia's
good.
backs,
Definitely is.
Leia's backs and Empire backs and stuff like that, that could just be like a thing.
I don't know
Yeah.
though. When Java's Palace came out, I thought it was pretty cool. Like when I was opening them, because as a kid, I was like, "Oh, it's all the aliens that were in the
I
palace."
love
It's cool.
Java's Palace, but like nowadays, it's just like, man,
No.
there's
But
like
it is
one card
accessible,
that's
right?
worth like almost $10.
If I started saying, okay, post your top 5 Reflections 2 foils, graded and slabbed.
Can't be ultra rares or something like that.
Yeah, it's not, you want to bring people into the fold here, not make them feel isolated.
I mean,
so.
having
I
a
think
PSA
about
10
that.
home one would be pretty fabulous. I mean, it looks
I have
nice.
one on eBay. I have one on eBay.
Do you? Well, I mean, I'm not gonna.
Well,
I would rather send them to you to like see about grading than
no.
buy. I'm a hunter. I like to hunt and get my
Hunting
own
is
stuff.
fun.
I don't like to. And this is my problem with the sports thing. I don't like buying the cards. I like having the card pulled for me and then being like, "Hey, this was always my card."
Yeah.
So that's why I'm in such big debt, because I'm always after that next big hit that sometimes just never comes.
Well, you definitely need to rip off that Band-Aid and
Oh yeah.
reel that in a bit. But
Oh yeah, big time.
okay. Is it okay if I move on to?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
You are allowed to move
hear
on.
the context sort of thing, or
So, some fun stats, which you guys also have in front of you, but for everybody else who's listening. So, as of this, I pulled 1995 and 1996 PSA population report data. And I only pulled the cards that had a decent amount of submissions, or are, main-related cards. So, total population in Premier Limited is at 1,114 as of this recording. So, that was literally like as of an hour ago, so I don't know if PSA's added more since then, but with 115 10s, 512 9s, 330 8s, 72 7s, 44 6s, 31 5s, and 7 4s, 2 3s, and one authentic. So
there's five. So there is 5 out there.
Yeah, that could be something else, but I don't want to focus on the 7s and below. I'm gonna really focus on the higher stuff. But Obi-Wan, for instance, right? 59 of him graded. 3 of them are 10s, 25 9s, and 28s. So that's kind of interesting. So there are a few Obi-Wan 10s out there, but
I saw on your thing
more
just now 5
nines,
later,
which makes sense. Obi-Wan Kenobi Unlimited only has 13 submitted, with only 1 10 out there, and 5 9s and 7 8s. Nothing below. So I thought that was interesting. There's only 1 Luke Skywalker Limited Japanese submitted, but it's a 10. That's impressive, right? That's of note. The Luke Skywalker Limited, there's 103 that have been submitted. 4 of them are 10s, 42 9s, 38 8s. That's a lot of 9s and 8s, really. I mean, that's 80 cards that are floating out there of 9 and 8s, and only 4 of those are 10. So that is pretty interesting. The Luke Skywalker Unlimited, however, has only 31 submitted, but it has 7 10s, 15 9s, and 3 8s. So even, the heavy majority of those are really 9s, but if a third of that is 10, that's, like you said, Brian, the white borders do look better. Darth Vader Dark Side, 128 submitted. There are 5 Darth Vader 10s now, so that has increased. 39 9.
You say you had one, Mark?
I do have one.
So a lot of these are getting 8s, not even 9s. Most of them are getting 8s, which shouldn't surprise us given that Premier Limited was mostly off center and had other problems. 16 sevens and 5 sixes, and
the corners, or even if you look at a lot of the corners they come out, like 2 of the corners will be perfect on one side, on like the left, and on the right, the 2 corners will be perfect. But if you compare them to across, they'll be different cuts. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
It's really,
a lot of
really
Star Wars
odd
CCG cards
that,
have that asymmetry to them.
Yeah.
And the Darth Vader Unlimited, however, has 29 submitted, with 9 of them being 10.
Wow.
14 9s and 5 8s. So
I actually have a white border Vader I thought was nice. I'll have to look at that again.
White border Vader, we'll probably see more of those creep up, but the ratio of, 10s to 9s is obviously much higher in these Unlimiteds. I mean, it looks like roughly a third, a half almost. I mean, that's striking. But yeah, very interesting to see those. What are your thoughts? What stands out here? What's not standing out here? There are other cards that were submitted, but if they were less than like 4 or 5 submissions, I didn't include them in this list. These are the majority of what gets submitted through Premiere.
Obviously, it's like a popularity contest for sure. Because I mean, you're not going to just probably randomly just grade a spaceport speeders unless you're JP trying to get your 9.5 set. So.
Yeah, there is a Shastavian Wolfman out there that somebody has in PSA Slab. I mean,
whoa.
Yeah,
we saw the whiteboard. It was a whiteboard or Rebel Trooper that was there was a PSA 10 on eBay for a while. I can't.
That sold, I think, a couple of years ago for like $13, if I remember.
Yeah. I mean, so what is that like something like 15x its normal value? If only every single one that got a 10 was like 15x its value.
That might have been profitable back at the day if the submission rate was low.
Yeah, once upon a time it was like, sub $10 to grade. So yeah, whoever graded that, props to them. They came out on top in that one.
For a card that you can't give away for like a dime, it's really the shipping. I mean, you would have had to have submitted in bulk.
I'd like to see the prices go back down at some point, so it'd be even more reasonable to try and grade a game like Star Wars.
Right now, it seems like the pressure is that way, just because they've kind of extended their special they had in March. But I think the general, I wouldn't say consensus, but the feel is that they're going to try to keep on working it downward slowly. But that'll be nice.
It is interesting, though. I mean, now that we see there's 5 Darth Vader, limiteds.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Does that impact thing? Because at a time there was only 1 or 2, and that number will creep up.
Yes and no. I think it's important that some of those will start seeing action on eBay, not necessarily even as auctions, but that some of them will start to be actually bought. So we'll get a sense of like what the actual value. Because right now it's like, well, there's a few of them. They're probably highly desirable, but how desirable actually are they? And, it'll be nice once we actually figure out what that number is.
Even Luke Skywalker, too. I mean, he has 103 submitted versus Darth Vader has 128. And granted, that's Farm Boy Luke, right? So we'll have to talk about the later sets in a different conversation. But I guess that Darth Vader is more iconic than Farm Boy Luke specifically in that instance, but there's 42 of those are 9s. For those who have 9s, are they content with 9s, or are they going to keep hunting for the 10?
I mean, I feel like if you've already got a 9 and you're pretty happy with it, that if you see a 10 come up that you can actually get, you're probably going to go for it. If you have a 9 and you're like, I mean, me personally, because I can't speak for everybody else. Like, we have the discussion. I think it was before we came online about what I'll do with my Patty Mahomes autograph when I get it.
Right.
Like, if it's a 9, I could care less about it. But if it's a 10, that's like the very escalon, like the top tier thing. That there's something just special about having a 10 of a card against a 9. If I had that 9. I mean, for me personally as a collector, I wouldn't even keep my 9s, I set Mark a bunch of cards to get graded, and I don't think any of those cards were actually cards that I would keep for myself to begin with, but I for sure wouldn't keep any or even consider keeping any that weren't 10s. Star Wars is a little different, I think, because there's a finite amount left. Some of those earlier sets for like the Patty Mahomes card too are going to be really much harder to get than the new stuff. But Star Wars is just a little bit different, I think, though. Whereas like maybe some people might be happy with. Some people are always going to be happy with 9s, but when it comes to PSA specifically, I think you're really looking for 10s. Whereas BGS, you're really going to be looking for the 9.5 because getting those 10s for BGS is like almost impossible.
It's pretty difficult. We have yet to see a BGS 10 Star Wars CCG card.
Not one.
That's going to be a while in the making.
It's the stupid corners, man.
I have 2 9.5s, but
well, we know theoretically it should be possible. It should be possible because JP has gotten or at least when we
he's got together, some 10 subgrades.
There were 10 subgrades, and I think we compiled that a 10 subgrade was at least gotten in every single one of the 4, at least once. So in theory, you could get them all at once, but it's just, very difficult.
And I think the BGS grade's a lot harder too. So they almost have to be like, and then the thing is, if you could find one, you would know that there was others too. If you could find one that was perfect 10, because the way sheets get cut usually, if there randomly was that perfect 10 that somebody found, it's just like, where's that box at, But I just
want to jump into the pops before we move on. One thing I did notice from the data you sent, Kyle, from that premiere is that the Darth Vader, I think because it's dark side, that might be why it tilted more towards the 8 than the 9, because that dark side really shows scratches like really easily compared to the light side. That might be one of the reasons.
I think that from all the cards I've looked at too, the light side ones were always I could find light side cards. I thought the centering was a 10 more than I could dark side. Dark side always seemed to be, it's like the Endor foils. The dark side ones always have like the little, it looks like they're scraped on one side. Whereas the same thing almost with dark side Premiere, it seems like they're always slightly off center, whereas the light side ones seem a lot better quality somehow. They are
different sheets. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, if all the sheets were slightly differently printed or just slightly off, then everything would be cut off differently. So it's not unfounded to almost treat them totally different.
If you sent in a card to get graded, it was like half one card, half another. Would they grade you lower on that, or would they understand why you were sending in that card and grade it based off,
So that's a good question. Actually, there was an HGA card that somebody submitted. It was a Pokemon card that was printed split, like you said. And what they did was they put the label split and they graded each card on its own.
That's clever.
So they gave the top card its own grade and the bottom card its own grade.
No, that'd be a lot to fit on a label.
It was really cool.
That'd be a big label. That'd be like a lot to fit on a label.
It was cool. Funny. It was really cool. They included it in their newsletter or something. I was like, what the heck?
I wonder if they could grade each half a card too.
I should send that to HGA then, because PSA rejected my blank black card. The ones from Reflections.
So, let's be clear though, right? Collecting errors, misprints, miscuts of anything is its own weird niche, right?
Yeah.
There's people that collect those. They generally don't care as much about it needing to be Gen 10, error. They're just kind of more or less happy that it's unique and weird, right? And if it's slabbed, then it's just kind of protected and preserved and authenticated, right? But it's not as important. It could be a 4, but because it's so weird and unique, it doesn't matter. It's cool. It has value in and of itself because it's I
just want to see what HGA would do with it, with a blank card.
They would do something weird with it.
You said PSA rejected it?
Yeah, they just said because it's like a factory, some sort of one of those terms they have. But they didn't want to grade it.
HGA would have fun with it. If it's something you think you'd keep and you just have as a novelty, like a talking discussion piece, they would definitely grade it.
Well, there's sometime I do want to take up the Tonica Sisters 2 challenge. Try to rough up your card so it can hit it too.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
You know, Tonica Sisters has got like 2 for everything, like 2
Yeah.
forfeit,
Yeah.
2
You want to get a
Destiny.
PSA 2 of it?
Yeah, PSA 2 Tonica Sisters, so it
Yeah.
has a grade of a 2
That's
also.
funny to me because remember I mentioned when Kyle showed his pop list that there was almost no 2s on any.
Yeah.
Like the 2s were just completely blank. So finding a 2 Tonica Sisters, like you just have to like find like. Okay, there's gonna be an order for Mark later on for my store,
Yeah.
and it'll be like 20 plate kits and Tonica Sisters.
Yeah, they'll just get a bulk order of a whole bunch of really rough Tonicas. That'd be
all
something
20
great.
plate
Like, what the
kits
hell
and
is
Tonica
this?
Sisters in a PSA.
Those are exactly the kind of cards I'm looking to submit to HGA. Like
Yeah.
We need Rees in a 3 then, right?
Oh, yeah, which one is it?
The alien with the 3 eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
stuff like that.
the Tonica challenge and the Rees challenge.
See, I thought
yeah.
like Brainiac would be cool to do, but like they didn't do anything.
You
funky
can't
with
get
that.
3.14s though, right?
I thought that, well, it has pi on it, right? So
Yeah.
I thought maybe they would give it like a pi grade somewhere, but they
Send it. That would be one to send to Beckett though. Send it to Beckett and see if they give you like a 3.14 instead of like 3.5. That'd be
I
hilarious.
don't want a 3.14 of anything.
But for Brainiac, it'd be pi, right?
I'll let you do that. You could be the test case for that. I challenge you to do that.
I do need to. Do either of you have Beckett submissions or just PSA?
I know. I've not done Beckett.
Kyle,
Kyle, you messed with Beckett a little bit, right?
I don't have one out currently.
Because somebody told me in the sports industry that like the thicker cards, you want to send those to Beckett, and then nobody ever explained to me why. But like the big patches and rookie patch autos and stuff, they said you want to send those to Beckett. That's why when I sent you cards, Mark, I tried to send all thinner cards. I think one of the Kyler Murrays was thicker, but all the other ones.
Yeah, there's one thick card.
Are those hard to send in penny slavers or in card slavers?
Not as long as not on card saver. Card savers isn't an issue. It's just the penny sleeves. You have to make sure you don't get like the Japanese brand, the really tight ones, the perfect fits.
So I had to order separate sized penny sleeves just for patch cards. So I have like a stack of them because they're just a little bit thicker.
Yeah, I need to go by the local card store and buy.
You don't want to squeeze them into the traditional ones.
Because then, I mean, the thicker the card is, the easier it is to mess their corners up. Like, really,
and they will punish you for that. And patch cards generally don't grade well. Because
that's why if you can get a 10 like RPA, that's like really nice.
I would claim victory with a 9 for sure on a patch because
I was telling like the one we were talking about, like it was an 8.5, and that's the one like Mark was saying you could crack it. Because I mean, I'd like it in my personal collection, not as an 8.5. I'd rather have it out of the slab than in the slab saying 8.5, even though it's a Beckett. So it could still be like a PSA 9, but since it's Beckett, obviously it's going to be lower.
Yeah. But there is definitely a market, at least in Star Wars, I've noticed there's a market for people who just want cards in the slab as cheap as possible. Like, I got a flagship executor back, and I got a 7 and an 8, and there's someone who wanted one from me for a while, and he actually wanted the 7 because it was going to be less expensive. So there's definitely, I think, like
that's nice,
a healthy variety of people who are collecting at kind of all ends of collecting.
Yeah, there are PC options. I mean, I don't see them coming back through PSA, but I know, for instance, like HGA, you can do that for $10. A card. It doesn't matter what card it is. They just won't give it a grade. But if you're doing it for your PC or you just want it slabbed,
I have a question for both of you too. As far as grading wise, and how much do you think the company use affects your card? Like, say you sent the same card, same exact condition to BGS, PSA, and HGA. And what's the other one that was big for a while? SGC?
SGC, yeah, they're big, yeah.
If you sent one to each of those and say they all graded, we'll say a 9. Like, I mean, like, what's the price variance going to be for, like, if somebody is like selling them? Because I know how I would feel, but I'm wondering how you guys would feel, because I wouldn't want anything that wasn't Beckett or PSA myself. Like, I wouldn't want any of the lower companies, because I feel in my eyes that it wasn't as nice as getting a PSA 10 or a Beckett 9.5. So that's why I was wondering what your guys' thoughts on that, or stuff that you've even seen through selling cards. Because I know Mark sold probably a lot of cards from a lot of these different companies and stuff. When grading was harder, he probably had some off to some different ones.
You want to take this, or do you want?
Yeah, I got some thoughts on it. Like, so for first of all, for Pokemon, I graded a lot for PSA, but when that was really backed up, I sent them to CGC. So CGC doesn't actually grade Star Wars CCG as far as I know. I know they grade tops now.
I think you told me that, yeah.
Yeah, they grade tops now. But anyways, for Pokemon, in general, once you get to the high grades, they grade a lot more harsh than PSA. So a lot of people were buying these CGC 9s, CGC 9.5s, cracking them and resubbing to PSA as a strategy, and it really worked. But definitely, like, for a while, there was a hefty, what do you call that, discount on CGC versus PSA slabs, purely because of the name. Because even though
somebody was buying one.
Yeah, they were going nowhere near PSA, and a lot of that was because of the name, even though grading wise, they were probably just as good, if not better. Like, I get a similar feel. I haven't submitted directly to HGA, but from what I've heard, they grade like probably harder than PSA and BGS for a 9.
Would your normal consumer know that, though?
No, and a lot of it,
just think, PSA is the number one because you see all
PSA is number one, right? It's just people are going to be looking from, right? If they come from the sports world and they come over to Star Wars CCG, it's their comfort zone. So that's where they're going to go first, and then probably next to Beckett, and then maybe to the third, SGC and the others, maybe if they want to go in. If I were looking for cards like to get a good deal on, I'd probably look for like SGC or other off-graded companies if I trusted that their grading is actually legit, which I do for SGC, to kind of get a feel for it. But if I were like selling and I wanted to get like, if I had like raw cards and I'm going to sell them, I'm going to sell them to PSA, because for me, like, I like the fact that if I wanted to, I could sell them. Yeah.
It's like in Tommy Boy with the brake pads thing.
Yeah.
Where like they're buying the name on the box instead of like what's actually the product is.
Right.
So I have some thoughts on this too. I think, well, for a while it was kind of like, oh well, let's test them out, so you go back and forth all over the place. But now with all these specials, with PSA being so much cheaper to do it, and just kind of being pretty, it's nice to have the streamlined process. I can follow along with where the cards are at. Beckett, I felt like I was kind of in the dark. Like, I didn't really know what was going on. I mean, everything turned out fine on the submissions, but the communication's not quite there. HGA, you can track along just like PSA as well, like the status of what the cards are doing. They're being graded, they're being quality checked, slabbed, printed, shipped. Like, you can follow all that, which is really nice. So the communication wise on those two is better. When I look at my stack of cards, because I always ask myself this, I'm like, do I want to submit this for HGA or PSA? And things like, for things that you just want to sell, then yeah, PSA for sure. If it's like autographs, if it's autographs like PC and something like the Star Wars autographs that really don't hold in much value but look really cool. Some of the Star Wars Topps collectors are kind of they kind of have like angst against people that just take Star Wars cards, like Topps cards, and grade them PSA and then like 10x the price and list it online. Like, they kind of hold a grudge against that. But the HGA cards I've shown for those, which I don't have many. The Star Wars Topps card people like those because HGA has that custom art feature. So like, for
those are the ones with the custom labels you had last time, right?
And my PC and my
display
case. My display case is a lot of HGA because they look awesome.
They look. I gotcha.
I take into consideration two things, right? PSA is gonna grade Star Wars cards better than HGA. Period. Like, they're just more lenient. Maybe they're taking into consideration the printing at the time, or they just round up. I don't know, but it's kind of more okay. Well, I could get a 10, maybe not, But HDI, I know I'm not getting a 10. Like they're gonna at best I'll get 9s.
But those are for your PC though, right?
I'll get 8.5s. I might get 8s, 8.5s, 9s, but I'll get some cool art. And I love talking about it, I love sharing it. And people do message me about, hey, I actually really like that card. Can I buy that or trade that from you?
I saw some of the comments in your last video got.
So people do have interest in it, but it's not something I can just throw up an auction in eBay because, Mark, that was like the only time I did that. And I was like, okay, well, clearly this is an epic fail because I don't think people actually type that in, like HGA slab. Like I think it just disappears into the ether. But like for a PC, I love them and I will continue to submit cards to them for stuff I think just looks awesome.
Isn't
so
my
when I look at a Star Wars CCG card, if it's Vader, Luke, Obi-Wan, Main, where there's nothing in the background, there's nothing fancy about it, I'm sending it to PSA, maybe Beckett, but probably PSA because they're cheaper right now. And I have that, member bonus. But if it's something with like a Reflections 3 foil, like for instance, I asked Richie and I bought a whole bunch of the Jedi Council Room foils. I think I had like 4 of them or 5 of them. I was like, I'll buy them all. Because I wanted to submit them to HGA and get custom labels on them because I thought that card particularly would look really cool in a custom slab. It's a colorful picture. It's got the cityscape of Coruscant in the background. They can do a lot with that.
Reflections 3 foils look so much nicer than the other sets.
I submitted a ton of Reflections 3 foils to HGA and some Reflections 2. And then like the regular stuff, I submit to PSA because it's cheaper. Even so I have a platinum membership with HGA, so I get their best discounts. But if you're doing a custom slab with it, it's still $25 per card to get the custom label. It's $30 if you do a horizontal, whereas PSA will be $15. It won't look fancy, the slab labels, the generic, but there's a chance you could get a 9 or 10, and it's easy to sell because everyone's comfortable with it. And let's face it, the Star Wars CCG community at this point pretty much is really leaning into PSA a lot more just because they know it. And it certainly helps that they have bigger population reports that people can follow, and like they can compete on that level, the popularity contest you talked about, they could do an apples to apples. But if I had an HGA like 9 or God forbid like a 9.5, like that card would be in immaculate shape. If that would probably be a PSA 10. And some of the 9s, like I think actually could be a PSA 10, but I'm not going to crack them.
What is the highest HGA you have?
9s. I don't have anything over 9s. Now some of the subgrades have gotten 10s. Some of the subgrades have gotten 10s. So it's possible, like Mark was saying, for each of the different things you could do it, but for them all to come together, I mean, I don't expect it. I just don't. Like they zoom in much more than PSA. They use AI to analyze the card on a deeper level. It's not as subjective, right? Whereas PSA is just, kind of people looking at them. They're using a computer in addition to a human. So there's supposedly less room for error with that. So when they give me the grade, I'm like, okay, yeah, that card deserves.
So a 9's actually pretty good then for HGA.
An HGA 9 is for a Star Wars CCG card is a pretty
might even be a
card.
PSA 10, honestly. The way it sounds from how harsh they are grading wise.
But again, I think given that the fact that there's enough other cards out there and a lot of it's for my PC, some people want them cool, but it's really just for the love of the card art and for what it is, So it depends. It depends on the card for me. That's kind of what it comes down to. I don't know if it'll ever take off from a sales perspective, but for those who do collect, they do like them. And when they do come back, I think you should take a look at the reveal to see the artwork that comes back on them because
is your reveal from PSA the one you're about to do?
Yeah, so I have one from PSA. So there was
I wasn't trying to rush so long. I was trying to see if we were gonna see the cool HGA custom labels. I don't know. those are
Let
pretty
me go
sweet.
see what I got.
I like those.
It's and I it's kind of one of those things like people like privately will like message me like, hey, that card's like really cool. Like it is. Like it looks great. And in person it looks better than I can ever take a picture of. And the slab is thick and sturdy.
That one's cool.
Like they're just cool. They're
That
just
is
really cool. I don't
Yeah,
think I've
dark
seen
side.
that before.
Can you zoom in on the top a little bit more?
Yeah,
Where
let's
did you
see.
get
Here you
that?
go. I think Cam got it for me. Yeah, see, it's got a little Cloud City on there.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
Cloud
what I was
City.
trying to see. That's nice. It's like the
That's really
exact
sick.
picture. It's
Yeah.
like the exact picture from the top of the top of the picture of the card.
But see, that 8.5 would probably be a 9 PSA.
Mhm.
Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, but it's like the artwork is so cool. Why would you break that?
I like that it's like basically like the picture within the picture almost.
Yeah,
That's a really good one for that.
That's why you should submit that error card to HGA. They do a custom label. They could do
I'm gonna
something
do it.
cool with it.
A custom label is half one side of the card and half the other side of the card. That would be fabulous.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they've done some funky stuff. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents. But I still like submitting to HGA, and maybe I'll be the only one, but I do like the way they look, and maybe I'll post some. I have been considering doing duplicates just for people to see them, but I probably won't do them at auction. I'll just put them at buy it now, like maybe a fraction of like at what I paid for it, But people just got to see them. I think is part of it. I do want to crack them, but I do want to go through the rest of these pop things real quick too.
Okay, yeah.
I know we've kind of run away with it, but the 2-player set. So Luke Unlimited light side 24 was submitted. 110, 7 9s, 5 8s, 6 7s. Wide range down there, but I personally have a 9 in HGA or Beckett. I can't remember.
Of the Luke.
Unlimited Luke from the 2-player set, and I'm fine with that. I think it is what it is.
I mean, I don't think
110 is
anybody's
interesting.
gonna try and crack too many boxes of those. Trying to, I mean, they're only probably like $50, but at the same time, it sounds like they're not the easiest thing to get 10s of. Also, so
yeah, you would have to fresh crack it, and even still, you might not get it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's like you would just be. I mean, I've thrown away plenty of $50 bills on football cards, but that'd be a lot of 2-player games to open to try and find your look. But if you found one, you're probably gonna have 3.
Well,
4.
that's true. You will
3,
get a few out of it. Like Vader Unlimited for 2-player, there were 28 cards submitted. There are 2 10s, 6 9s, 3 8s, 10 7s.
Oh man, what's going on there?
That's a lot of 7s. 5 6s, 2 5s. Yeah. I don't know, but that's also interesting. That's something to keep an eye out for to see if that changes or goes with the same ratio of the.
How often do they update the pops?
That's a good question.
I would assume daily. As soon as they get stuff submitted, it's registered. And
so, say Mark sent in 10 Darth Vaders and 4 of them got 10s. Like the pop report would update, and then there'd be 9 Vaders at 10s on there. Or
I think once they've shipped it and they've closed out that order, they should be there.
And this is on their website. This is something you can pull up and look.
It's available.
Yep. So when I get my football cards back, I could actually see if what the grades on those cards. I'm sure sports is probably tons of pop. I mean, I doubt they'll have any pop ones. We'll put it that way.
Oh, you should see the Pokemon stuff. There's tens of thousands of cards submitted in there. But anyways, I don't want to get.
Do you have any pop ones for Pokemon, Mark?
Do I have any pop ones for Pokemon? I do not.
I did submit some of my Pokemon Brilliant Stars to PSA because I was I think this is the only way I can recoup from the box if I slab them and sell them for more than I got the box for.
How many?
I spent $50 in the box, but I got some good hits. So,
how many pop ones are there for Pokemon? What?
This is a whole nother conversation.
We'll say the first edition Charizard. How many pop or how many 10s are there of it?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I think it's there on the website. I think 100 and 200. I don't remember.
A lot.
Oh crap! Okay. So
there's a lot.
I mean, it's still the most expensive card, though, right?
No,
Well-
there's some random trophy cards, but of the like cards you probably knew from the sets, I think it is the most expensive.
Yeah, there's more submitted and graded than you would think.
Yeah.
But that's also because so many people have been collecting it. So, yes, there's a lot, but so many people are after it. Probably doesn't list for sale all the time.
Because I mean, that particular card, how much is PSA 10 of the original Charizard?
I don't know what
First
the mom
edition?
had. Yeah.
Because they were like six figures for a while, right? Or they still might be.
For all I know, they still might be. They're probably at least in the 5 figures because I have a 9 first edition base set Charizard,
Oh wow.
and I think it's like, if I last time I checked, maybe like 20-ish, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it
But
still
the
might be
population's
cheaper
higher
for
than you
somebody to
think.
try and get their own than trying to spend 5 figures, 6 figures to get the card.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to talk Pokemon, that's a whole nother ballgame. But yeah, I thought this was interesting too. Like Obi-Wan's lightsaber had 5 submitted, but there's no 10s, but there's 5 9s.
Uh-oh.
So everything
gotta
that was
get on
submitted
that.
was a 9. Vader's lightsaber, there's 1 10, 4 9s, 4 8s.
Did the one you sent us didn't have Han Solo and Grandma Tarkin, I don't think, on it. Does this one have those 2 on there?
No, I did not include that in there. I did not.
I
see
think
those in here.
I'm not going to cut that package open. I told you I was going to cut open, Mark. I'm just going to send you a second package. I'm going to send you the foil pack, and I'm going to send all the pack fresh premier cards, all the non-baiters. I'm just going to send all that stuff, and then like, if you want, you can like look at them and see if you think any of them are like grade 10s, and then we can talk
Can
about
do.
some sort of deal for those.
Okay.
Because I have a stack about like this of like packed fresh and nicely centered cards that are like all
Make
names.
you an offer you can't refuse.
Something like that. But I mean, I think the white border Vader's in that stack. I think I might like a PSA 10 white border Vader. You said the pop was really low on that one, right?
I think it's interesting that you guys brought that up with the 2-player set, and I think that like we talked about earlier, if like Vader or loot collectors, like if that sort of thing gets going, you're gonna need a PSA 10 2-player game to complete that. So it may drive people to start cracking
man.
this.
Yeah, only
2-player
77
2-player seals.
2-player cards graded
No.
in total, and only 8 10s out of that entire thing.
Like our you know what our challenge would have to be? It'd have to be Empire Strikes Back 2-player game and Premier 2-player game. All 11. Is it 11? It's 13. All 13 cards. And
They
PSA.
got the Japanese too.
God.
I
Wow.
opened up an Empire Strikes Back 2-player game, but I'd bought 2 boxes. So one of them I only opened the box, but I didn't open up the wrapping of the 2-player, like the premium card. So I might have to open that and then just grade those.
Yeah, I don't know who I got it from, but I got one that one of them was unwrapped, and then one of them was like what light side was open, I think, and dark side was sealed still. And I just all have them all together in the cabinet over there. I haven't touched them since I got the guy's collection. So I mean, they still might be. Well, I mean, one's sealed, and then the other ones are probably not been touched too many times. So maybe those are in nice condition.
So is Empire Strikes Back is the one with only one Leia, right?
Yeah, one Leia in the whole set, and that one would be an interesting. Do you have that on the pop? It'd be interesting to see if there's a PSA 10 of that. That'd be a hard one to get a PSA 10 of. The white border 2-player Leia. That would be a hard one to get. I think a perfect a grade.
Well, I am a fan of Leia cards, so
that's an interesting one. Is it on your pop list?
it's not, but we can certainly hunt it down later.
Surely
I just
somebody's
highlighted a
graded
few
some of
cards that I know people would recognize right away.
You graded any of those, Mark?
No, I've not.
Oh wow.
I graded for Jamie a Japanese Leia.
Yeah, I think we saw that one. What did that one end up getting?
I want to say an 8.
Ugh. Yeah, it seems like those are so hit or miss, especially like Officer Evacs. He's another one. He's only one of in the Empire Strikes Back box also. So him and Leia are both basically like getting a PSA 10 of those two, both. There you go. There's your challenge. Leia and Officer Evax, white border, 1998. Is it 96 date?
For the
Empire
Japanese,
Strikes
I don't
Back
know.
2-player set, I think, is 97. So that's not
97.
That's not part of this.
I know the Officer Evax.
But we'll do a 97 chat.
White border date.
All right, next time.
We can do a 97, 98 chat, and then we can do a 99, 2000s chat. And
I'd just be interested to see if anybody's graded those Leias, because a PSA, a Pop 1, anything that you could get a Pop 1 of still is something that interests me a little bit, I think. The race for a Pop 1.
It's an interesting challenge. It's an interesting idea.
I do like where your head's Empire Strikes 2-player sets start selling for like $800 because everybody needed that Pop 1 Leia first.
I'm gonna get that Tonica too.
Oh yeah, the Tonica 2, the Reese 3, and white border.
That'll be the first one.
Well, white border Leia Pop 1.
Yeah.
Or here's a good challenge for you guys. The first person to get one of every It Could Be Worse PSA 10. It Could Be Worse, I think, is one of 3 cards that has the most copies of any card in the game. Because there's a premiere date, there's black border and white border in Japanese. There's white border from the 2-player game. There's white border from the Empire Strikes Back game, and there's the tournament foil. So there's 6 different It Could Be Worses.
It's a lot.
Because that It Could Be Worse is the only card I think that was in every single set, every single possible set that they made that you could have a different date to the card. So there's the white border Empire Strike Back version, the white border 2-player version, and then the white border unlimited version, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, having six different ones. Oh no, there's I got one of the things wrong because there's a white border Japanese. So I think there's 6. So one of the 2-player sets is the same date, but there is a Japanese white border of it too. That was the 6th one I was thinking of. But still, there's 6 of It Could Be Worse. So PSA 10s of all 6 It Could Be Worse.
Well, yeah, it could be worse. Yeah.
Well, it could be better. The New Hopes look pretty good. Look at those Chewy 10s.
So A New Hope, yeah. So 139 A New Hope limited cards submitted with 23 10s, 79s, and 31 8s, and the rest is history. Red 5, 12 of those submitted, 2 10s, wow. 7 9s, 2 8s. R2D2, 34 submitted with 6 10s, 15 9s, 9 8s. That's pretty high.
Only
Death
one
Star,
only one Death.
110.
Wow.
Death Star, right? 16 9s, 7 8s, 3 7s. That's interesting.
I wonder how many of those 16 were Death Stars that I owned. Because like one guy literally bought like 10 Death Stars from me, my near mint Death Stars one time. And I was just like, what is I thought he was like trying to get them for his own shop or something. I wonder if he sent them all
would be Freds.
Yeah, I wonder if he sent them all in.
Yeah,
10 Chewbacca?
I mean, 10 10s, that's pretty high.
Wow.
41 submitted with 18 9s and 7 8s. That's a really high.
There's one up for auction right now. There's one on eBay right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
really
with 10 available, with 10. So the Death Star 10 for PSA is Pop 1. That's interesting.
Yeah, the Death Star 10 seems to be
now I want one.
A more rare hunt than
I want to make it a Pop 2.
That's down
and it looks cool
radar.
in the slab. It's a cool card.
Yeah. Blizzard 1 and Anakin's lightsaber is no Pop 1 for
so
10s.
Yeah, Hoth limited. 94 total submitted, 11 10s, 43 9s, and 22 8s.
Only 94.
No 10 Blizzard 1s. 2
to be
9s.
fair, though, I think there's not very many cards I think are that. I mean, General Veers, I'm surprised isn't on the list. Because General Veers, in my eyes, would be the one that I would want to grade the most. But I mean, he's probably my top 5 favorite dark side characters. So it's just very odd that there's no General Veers on the list.
Well, General Veers has 5 submitted and 2 10s, 1 9, 1 8, 1 7.
Wow.
So there are 2 10 General Veers, and I think I saw somebody post
2 out of 10
on the group.
I was when we saw the Luke Skywalker, the Pop 1 for the PSA 10. It made me think of Surge, And I think that a lot of the pop list is because like Surge only uses Beckett. And I think he has some 9.5 Lukes, which would probably equate to a PSA 10 Luke. So I'm wondering how many people like him and JP have just graded with Beckett instead of PSA.
That's true. I had a harder time digging through BGS's population report. Otherwise, I would have put it side by side. But yeah, not too many beers submitted, but there is one Wampa 10 as well.
Oh, Wampa 10?
Yeah, there is a Wampa 10.
That's adorable.
One. That's a cool card. Anakin's lightsaber, 6 submitted, 0 10s, 4 9s. And Commander Luke Skywalker is 47 submitted, but only 1 10.
I don't think either of these. I don't think either of these were graded 10, but the autograph might grade a 10.
Yeah.
So generally, autograph cards, the cards themselves don't grade 10s. They usually grade 9s because by scribbling on it, you're kind of like defacing it.
Yeah, he doesn't have a very great auto.
But I would grade that PSA just the auto, and then if it gets auto 10, then it's just a 10 card. You know, there's no point in judging the card itself.
I was say because I can already look at these and see the play wear on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would just grade that
I sent my 2 nicest ones.
authentic as a card, and grade the autograph. And then if it comes back at 10, then you just have a slab 10 beers, and that's that.
His autograph's not that bad, I guess.
But yeah, whoever's got the Commander Luke Skywalker, pop 1 there.
That's me.
Seems to be
I was like, isn't it Mark?
That's me. It's on eBay right now.
I remember. I'm pretty sure he showed that to me when he's like, these are my favorite ones. And he showed me that one.
I was like, that's right. I was like, I thought I've seen this before. But yeah.
That's lurking within our bets.
Too. Yeah, and then the last
one. You need the beers now.
Not many from the Jedi pack. I graded some cards from the Jedi pack, but through HGA, and I got all 9s on them.
They're rough.
It seemed like they would be because being in a flimsy little pack, it seems like it'd be easier for them to just get little imperfections.
So the funny thing is, I actually have, let's see. So there's 0 10s, there's 2 9s, and
Hyperwave navigation chart PSA 10.
So I actually have, I might have the best graded Jedi pack cards, actually, at the moment with their HGA. But Jedi pack cards are not worth anything. Apparently.
Yeah.
I've had them listed on eBay forever, like nobody cares. But I might have to hunt for more, and maybe I'll submit more to the PSA.
Do you have any PSA 10s of the box toppers or the case topper Vaders?
Oh, hell no.
That would be difficult to get. I know it exists. But...
Do you say you do or you don't?
Oh, I don't. Those JP Vader case toppers are like horrible to grade. Like,
is it because like the backs all have the wrapper mark?
Lots of them do. Yeah, it's very. There's a couple 9s out there, but wow, like I would not want to like open my sealed, case topper Vaders and risk grading them. I'd rather just keep them sealed. No. Yeah.
A friend of mine once sent me 2 of them, and they both had dog marks on them too. Like the dog had like bit into the card.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a party foul.
Like, did you even notice this? And he's like, my bad. I mean, he's a friend of mine. He literally gave them to me for like some commons and uncommons. Because I
know, like Matt Delman, he's one of the guys there. He had a sealed Boba Fett box topper from Ref 2, and I told him not to break it and grade it. He actually got a 9 on it, which is like better than I told him he was going to get. But yeah, all those like sealed toppers are very.
Do you think they take into account the marking on the wrapper line? If companies you're never going to find one that doesn't have the wrapper line on the back, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if they knew enough about the cards, they probably might. Because I know for certain historic cards they do, but I don't know if Star Wars CCG is well enough known. Yeah, for them to do that.
Because,
we'll have to examine that when we go into the.
Kyle, keeping us on track.
We're gonna stick on track.
We need
good topics. Though.
We need to have Kyle hired by PSA so that he can specifically read the Star Wars cards himself. So he'd be like, Yeah, he's like, don't you know that all these have the foil line in the back because they come out of their own little wrapper?
Yeah, and some of them
This
come
is a
with
10.
dog bites out of the box. Amazing.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
dog bites, man. Those baiters.
For the wrappers, I think that one,
White guy.
that promo pack comes in a wrapper. The one you copied there, right? That's in a wrapper.
Yeah, the promo packs just have that plastic wrap, kind of like Asteroid Sanctuary too.
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody has a 10 of those. I didn't look through that, but we'll get
Correct.
to that later. The Rebel Leaders promo pack, there's only one graded, and it's a 9. It's Gold Leader in Gold 1. Which I actually have a stack of those, so I was debating on ripping those and submitting to
I've only got one left. I used to give those away for like free. Those and Jedi packs. So I have like none left.
Right, but I think I would rather try and hunt for the 10 than have a bunch of stacked wrapper cards. You know, because then if you have the best one, then who cares?
Then you can, if you open some of those, you can send the others to me because I think I'm pretty low on them.
Oh, okay,
I use those in a lot of like bundles that I make for like beginner players. Just like throw in like, cards that they can instantly
cool looking
get.
Cards. They're kind of like forgotten cards.
I remember when they came out, bro. They were iconic. You're just like, holy crap, these ships draw destiny on their own. It's just like, wow. I was like, these cards are great.
So yeah, of the sets that we talked about, 95, 96, before I open up my box, like, is what really stands out for you guys, like in terms of, rarity, or what was surprising, or what was affirming, or what was missing? What comes to mind?
I'm really happy to see 4 figures. Well, yeah, there you go. It's my Commander Luke 10. No, but to see 4, yeah, that was just the best thing here.
Go ahead, you can flex.
It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, but no, seeing 4 figures of total graded population for Star Wars CCG, I thought that was pretty. Or for a premiere only, actually.
That's just premiere.
That's amazing. And then 3 digits for like a couple of the mains. Like, we've come a long way from a couple of years ago. So that to me is very promising as far as the outlook for people kind of coming in and people appreciating the collecting side as it relates to kind of card collecting as a whole. So I feel very optimistic about the future from looking at this.
I'm interested in seeing the breakdown by sets after the ones that we haven't seen to see if Premier is the highest graded set. I can imagine it probably is, just because it's the most iconic when you think of trying to want to get, PSA 10s and stuff. But I mean, I'm wondering if there's any sets that are even close, or what the next highest set might be, honestly.
Well, we know probably that Cloud City Boba Fett will have a lot of submissions.
He's another. I think Boba Fett's another. I'd be interested in seeing Boba Fett too, and seeing
we'll
PSA 10s are.
We'll visit that on another
I might like to have a PSA 10 Boba Fett too. Him and Darth Vader.
You and I think a lot of other people would too. I swear, like every YouTube video of somebody opening up a Cloud City pack is talking about grading a Boba Fett 10. Like I swear to God.
I should have charged more for my Cloud City boxes that I sold, my extra ones. Or I should have cracked it myself, try to get that Boba Fett.
Hindsight.
You end up with so much stuff that you don't know what to do with, right? You're hunting for like a few
one card.
So much junk. It's like, what are you gonna do with these cards?
Yeah, Boba Fett.
That's my problem. I'm like, I don't need more bulk.
Those Cloud City cards look nice.
I went through my Cloud City and my Java when I sorted out my stuff. I have I don't know what the double-sided 800 count boxes are. I don't know what they're called, but I had one of each of those and an 800 count box, and then I had literally 30 some complete sets of varying conditions. So I mean, I still probably have 20 of each set. I had 900 count boxes that were just filled with lightly played condition of Jabba's Palace and Cloud City sets. And for a while, I was trying to put them up and sell them both for $70 together or $40 a piece for just rare sets. I sold a couple, but man, so many sets of those.
Well, I mean,
40 common uncommon sets when I sorted my Cloud City common uncommons.
So I will say this though, I sometimes browse like complete sets of just Star Wars stuff that I didn't collect at all because there's something appealing with I don't have a piece or little bits and pieces. I can get just a clean, complete set of something that I can enjoy, and it's relatively inexpensive versus like ripping new product and getting extras and having to trade and buy singles. Like you don't need to do any of that. You can just get a clean set and like add it to your collection or whatever. There is something appealing to that, and I have done that with some sets that I'm like of stuff like I don't not necessarily Star Wars CCG like top Star Wars like it might be like I don't want to collect the box set. I don't want to rip singles, but like I'll gladly buy a base set for $25. You know, it's 100 cards. Like I can get
somebody do that.
Essentially,
some people
the gist
still do that
of
with
what that set was about.
Some people do that with football cards too. Like there's a lot of people that only collect like the big stuff, and there's some people that just like having just the set of cards for each set, you know, and they're relatively cheap.
Well, it's clean. You can display it. You can put it in a binder and like look through it and you know whatever. I like that.
It's neat to remember the players too, looking back, because I mean I've seen people open packs of cards that I remember opening as a kid. That just like every now and then I see those, I'm just like, holy crap, that guy just got a David Robinson rookie. And it's like it's worthless. Like it's like literally worth nothing because the cards back then were there was no special ones, no number, no autographs. But it's just like, you know, you're like, I remember having that David Robinson and opening my own David Robinson rookie. I was like, it's actually pretty cool, you know, even if they're not worth anything.
All right. Should we
I'm ready.
Is this the moment we've been waiting for? All right, here we go. LFG.
I'm going to run the restroom while he's cutting into the box, so I don't pee myself in excitement.
All right, you don't pee yourself in excitement.
Let's not do that.
Let's set this up. We're going to add my camera here to the stream. All right, so there could be some bad, there could be some good, there could be some great. I don't know where this emotional roller coaster will take us, but I do know that I submitted 2 key cards, and this is part of the reason I invited Richie, and I think he had other plans, but we submitted our Hoth Japanese E-Web no title and Snowtrooper officer no title. I think it's Snowtrooper officer or Snowtrooper. I don't know. Snowtrooper officer. The one
we've got
right? There's a cat there.
We got a fourth watcher.
So those 2 key cards we were really excited to get back. There are some. There's like a mix of different sets of cards in here. So
he's actually watching.
All right, so I'm going to try and deal this in a way that we can be surprised here.
Uh-oh. Turn it upside down.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to make sure this is a stack. Okay, that looks like the back. That looks like the back. That looks like the back.
Do they put them all in order, or do they mix and match?
I don't know what the order is, so okay, these are all the backs.
And what set did you say these were?
So
you said mostly Hoth?
Flip down, and then these.
I heard Japanese Hoth earlier. That's what I heard.
There are 2 Japanese Hoth cards in here.
Well, this will make it really fun if we don't even know what the cards are.
Is one of them Meteor Impact?
No, you missed it. You were getting your cat, but
oh, a ping. A ping.
The Hoth no title E-Web Blaster and the Hoth Japanese no title Snowtrooper officer.
I've actually still got a Snowtrooper.
Yeah, I know they exist, but the funny thing is I don't know how many people are going to be able to get pack fresh versions of those. And submit a slab.
All right. I guess I can move those things.
Let's try doing this. Okay, so we have Lando in Millennium Falcon, Reflections 2 foil. Drum roll, please.
All right.
Okay.
Not bad. Not bad.
So
eights aren't bad, I feel like. Yeah.
Is 8 technically still mint? Or when
They call it near mint to mint.
Near
Yeah.
mint.
I mean, for Star Wars CCG, it's basically a pack fresh card, but just didn't.
I've actually had some pack freshes of these, but
I think I want to save this for. I think I want to save that one.
save that
All right,
one.
yeah, we'll save that one.
That's kind of like a huge drum roll. Yeah, we want to.
Oh,
save
there we
those.
go.
Those.
We're gonna
Two
save
biggies.
those. 'Cause those
Did
are what I
you?
was
Did you?
typing up.
Oh, those were pack fresh, weren't they? Because you opened those with Richie.
So this card is one I opened with Mark and Matt on a different video, and I was like, "Oh, this card would be cool to slab."
You 3PO? Were you 3PO? Is not an easy card to get a good grade in. I don't think.
No, it's
So
not. It looks like
Oh.
I got a 7.
Yeah, it's weird. Like every time I look at my near mint ones, I see something wrong with them.
Well, there is some white marks on the corners. This was more
Okay.
or less a
Was this one
pack to
pack? Was
grade,
this pack fresh?
essentially. But even pack to grade can get a 7.
Yeah.
That was straight from pack.
The conditions from Whiteboard and New Hope was wretched, like so bad.
The more you know.
We got here Red Squadron Run, Reflections 2 foil. 8.
Not bad.
Okay. I think part of it comes down to like some of that asymmetry on the corners, and there does seem to be a little bit of white on the edges. So, but otherwise, I mean, it's a clean
Do they
card. It's
grade
well
you
set.
lower if stuff is like foil curling?
I don't think they really care on that, no.
Okay.
Foils, I will tell you, sometimes you think it's great, and then it's like they just slam you. It's terrible, and sometimes it's surface scratches or other.
Is this
stuff.
a foil or a regular?
This is Reflections 2 foil of
3.
Chewbacca Protector. So this is the foil, and this is a 9.
Dang it! They graded. They named it wrong though.
It is Reflections 3, yeah, that's true. If it's a foil.
Can you get them to redo it, or if they mess up, or how does that work?
You could, but I mean, oh, I see. You want them to say foil on it.
We have Reflections 3, because it's the 2 is the premium.
You're right. It is supposed to.
They have a habit of doing that with certain cards. Like, they're really bad with the case topper JP Vader foils.
Yeah, you're right. They did screw that up. Didn't they? Well,
It's a nice.
Just
looking
one of the
card,
quirks. Send to Andy Talaga. He'll love it. The mistrip.
send it to Andy. All right.
Cheap
Fletcher
Cheap
Chirpa.
Chirpa.
foil.
All right, that's
Cheap
cool.
Chirpa. It is a 7.
Oh man,
Another.
that's a nice looking foil.
It does.
Yeah, it's hard to grade well on foils. It's really
Foils are one of those ones. I find it's usually the surface. If you can't tell, like looking in the slab, what it is, it's usually.
This
the
is gonna be a
surface.
10. I feel good about this one.
All right.
2001 Yoda Senior Council Member Reflections 3 foil is a 9.
Oh,
Yeah.
The Reflections
That's a
3
cool
ones are
looking
doing
card.
nice. Do they tell you why they didn't grade it? Do they ever tell you like the imperfections on them, or you just
No.
dang?
No.
If you want that, you have to go through the subgrades, through like a BGS or HGA.
No.
Tanaka. Oh, those have lots of like foiling that can get scuffed up. Those are. I imagine that's a hard card to grade.
Yeah.
But we're doing well on the Reflections 3 so far. So.
It's a 6.
Oof.
Oh. That's when I would want to know what was wrong with it basically.
This
Usually, if
might
it's a 6 and it
I'm trying
looks
to
good, that
remember
means
if
It looks like
Yeah.
it might be a little
it's
off center.
structural.
Maybe a little off center to the left.
I mean,
Usually, it's some like little crease or like a divot in it. If it's a 6.
yeah, it's probably a surface thing because the corners look good. It doesn't have much whiting, and it is actually fairly well centered.
Yeah, it's probably like a random crease. If you tilt it at the right angle, you can probably find like a bend or a crease in the card.
I had them all like that.
I don't know. You can't see it though visually. If you didn't
Yeah.
have a 6 there, you wouldn't know it.
It's usually easier to see it on the back, but still nice looking in the slab.
All right.
Here's, this is one of the hardest ones I found to
Foil
get.
of Orlando
Yeah.
Vibro Axe.
I never have this one.
This
You never have that
is
card?
a
Ooh.
9.
No, I mean I've
Very
had
nice.
them, But it's what that and Mirax are some of the harder Reflections 3 ones I've had to get.
Oh, okay.
Like some people have had trouble getting like Ominous Rumors and Lot Dot. I've had trouble getting that to Mirax.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It's always nice to get
Captain
a 9
Panaka
main.
again, take 2.
This one's got to be better, right?
I mean, is it? Oh.
Nope.
It's a 6.
You jinxed it, B-Fred.
Wow.
Good job, B-Fred. Thank you. No, again, I mean, on first glance, like, it's well centered. There's not much whiting. The corners are actually symmetrical. So, yeah.
I remember Captain Panaka being one of the ones that I wasn't thrilled with the foiling around the way the foil looked around his head. It always seemed like there was like weird little tiny scratch marks on mine.
Oh.
Well, those will be nice giveaways for my channel.
That's what I do with my stuff a lot.
EPP Luke.
I'm
Let's
excited
go.
about this one. Let's see.
Is this a foil? No, it's a regular, isn't it?
No, the lightsaber is not foil, so
This
it's not.
this one's got to be hard to get a 10 in. I'm guessing.
So, I mean, I thought it would do pretty well. So let's see. Gem Mint 10.
Nice.
Hey-o.
Nice job, man.
Yeah.
So is this one you pulled?
Yeah.
Because these things are just like a lot of the times they're just like stuck right at the front of the pack, so it seems like these would be harder to get 10s in.
Yeah.
I want to see what the pop is on that. I mean,
We'll have to stay tuned for the episode.
Oh,
No,
so-
we'll save it. We're gonna save it for our episode when we cover it in the proper year.
all right. So we
But the
get
audience
so-
can look it up.
To enhanced, and when we get to 97, 98, we can go through it. But that's fantastic. I'm thrilled about that. 2001 Reflections 2 foil Independence is a 7.
The Reflections 2 ones have been 7s, and the Reflections 3 have been 9s usually.
Yeah,
besides
we'll see.
stupid Captain Panaka.
The back corners are not awesome on this, but still.
Kyle, if there's another Captain Panaka in there, Kyle, and it grades a 6 also, I don't know what to tell you.
No,
There
I
we
only
go.
submitted 2 Captain Panakas, but they'll make for great
Pull me one.
YouTube channel giveaways. Okay. Star Wars CCG Home 1 Reflections 2 foil Home 1 is an 8.
Solid.
Not
Solid.
too bad.
Okay. Meh. Check the box. But again, like, with the foils, you really do have to look through it under a microscope to find what's flawed with them, because they
Whoa.
are centered. They look great.
Gold
They don't
1?
have as much whiting on the edges, you know, at the later
Gold.
cards.
Gold
so
2, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
gold
gold
it has to
2.
come down to the surface. This was a card I pulled also. Wait, Hoth revised? They
New Hope.
labeled this. Wow, they
Did-
like really dropped the ball.
Oh,
on this, 'cause
wow.
I pulled this from this.
Yikes.
Your grader was already 3 sheets to the wind by the time he got to this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
He was
opened
still
this-
thinking about Captain Panaka.
I opened this on that video with Matt and Mark when I ripped open those New Hope packs, and this is a 8.
Yeah.
But it's funny that it's named wrong. Hoth revised.
That's another one for Andy.
That's a
Yep.
weird one.
That's right. You were saying, B. Fred, those aren't the New Hope revised? Are they kind of not very good quality usually?
Yeah,
The printing?
they're not. Like every time I think I have near mint cards, every time when I go back and look for them, trying to find one for like somebody who really just wants mint, they're always crap. Like I look at all of them, I'm just like, these are all terrible.
This card though, this one, I always liked it, even though it's a very rare foil. I think it's a very rare foil, but it's a main, which
It's a
is
pretty foil, yeah.
It is
it
very
looks really
pretty.
nice.
It's a
So,
Man, I feel like you got a crap like a guy that was just like wasn't feeling it that day.
yeah, he's like, what are these?
Here we go.
we're tempting fate again with another New Hope revised.
Hey, at least this one doesn't say Hoth.
Yeah.
Yeah, R2D2. I'm glad they spelled that out for us in case we didn't know. It is a 9.
All right,
There you
yeah.
go.
Okay, so this was one.
Which
I
is
also
basically a
pulled.
10 for a New Hope whiteboarder.
Apparently. All right. I'll take that. That was a pack fresh card we did on that video. But this just goes to show, like, just because they're fresh from the pack, you can
I actually need a red 2 white border. Gosh darn it!
All right.
Well, maybe you guys can work something out after this.
Not a sad one.
It's a 9.
There you go. Was this another one pack fresh?
Yep. This was all part of that same video where I ripped them open at once. Okay. Would have rather have had those foils grade better, but all right.
Come on, Chewy. Let's get a 9 here too.
The New Hope revised.
Big money, big money. Little money, medium money.
Really nice
also
incentive.
I pulled from the same video. It was like the same 4 packs. I pulled red 2, gold 2, Chewy R2, and then the other New Hope. They were all from the same thing.
Actually, looks pretty slick in white border.
Yeah. White border cards in general, besides Premier.
There we go.
Jar Jar Binks.
What if this gets a 10? You can get like $1 million from that Jar Jar guy.
Yeah, fatty.
Isn't this the fatty?
He bought like 60 Jar Jars from me.
Yeah.
I raised the price up as far as $8.99 for played condition ones. He still kept buying them.
Jar Jar Binks Reflections 3 foil is a 7. Wow.
Lisa, not a net card.
This is very nice.
Not be so lazy on the surface. Because I think I'm just looking at these. I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
I wonder what they thought when they graded the 2 cards with no titles on the front. You think I wonder if they grade them and they just don't post their title because they don't know what it is.
Well, I guess we'll find out what they called it here.
Well, let's see. They titled it.
They called it missing
Decipher
title.
Star Wars CCG Snowtrooper Officer Hoth Japanese.
That was pretty nice.
Missing title.
There we go.
Right. This was packed fresh from the video.
Let's go 10.
It's
Big time.
9.
Solid. That's still solid.
That's probably
This is
pop
super
1 though.
solid.
That's
I
probably
will take
pop
this
1.
Any day. I think I'm trying to think. I remember scanning it really closely, and I was like, it'll probably get a 9 because one of the corners has like the tiniest bit of white, and on the other corner as well. But this was packed fresh from the Hoth Japanese videos that Richie, AJ, and I made. So we are super stoked about this 9. I dare anybody to try and do better than that.
I don't think you might have the only graded ones of these 2 cards.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I know people own them, but if you graded them, if they sat in binders for a long time, it's a good chance they might not grade.
Let's go 10.
All right. So this is the E-Web Blaster Hoth Japanese Dark Side missing title. It is a mid-9.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Still solid. Still solid.
Take it. I just say, I don't think those are going to be past that anytime soon.
I don't know if this will be beat. If it did, people would have to have like ones sealed, like and put away already.
See,
and these
I know
fresh.
Was it in the video, like a video or 2 ago, we were discussing the merits or the lack thereof of grading Japanese, and I think I was more bullish on it, and other people were more bearish on it. But when I see him now, I can't help but be even more bullish on him. Like, I'm just seeing it like that. It's like,
that looks nice.
There's the Mint 9, and it looks so great.
Win, though.
That's a great win overall, for sure.
Do you have any EPP 10s, Mark?
Do I have any PSA 10 Japanese? I don't think I do at the moment.
No, PSA 10 EPPs.
I have actually the foil version of that Luke in the 10. The EPP foil.
It seemed like the EPPs would be some of the harder ones to get, honestly. Just because of the way they're just like pressed up against the front of the pack.
Gosh, that's like a gut punch when you go to open your EPP and then the main on the front has got that little damage from the
I was gonna say
insert.
Getting a PSA 10 for that. I want to see the pop on that. Can we
it's pretty rough.
Do we have to wait or can we see it now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say there's not more than 2 or 3 of those.
You're gonna spoil it now.
I'm so curious because those seem like they'd be some of the harder cards to grade.
What if it's like Dragon Ball Z? We make you wait till the next episode.
Yeah. Oh my god! like when you want to see he's fighting against Frieza, and it takes like 20 episodes for the battle to finish.
That's right.
I don't even know how that battle ends. I've seen like 4 parts of it, and then it stopped for the day. And then I would basically watch the Cartoon Network like once every like 2 or 3 months, and it would always be some sort of battle against Frieza or the other guy. I can't remember the other big guy. It was for a Cell. Was it Cell? Like those guys. And like,
well, they were the good guys.
I
Yeah, Goku.
4 of the parts of the thing, and like he beat like one version of him, and then have to fight the bigger version of him, and it's like
that's the way all those fights went. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how any of the fights ended. I'm sure that Goku always beat everybody, or Gohan or Goku always won in the end. But like, I couldn't tell you how the battles ended.
So we're gonna know how this ends, Kyle. How have you decided?
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This has been a fantastic chat. Oh, did you look it up or no?
Oh, I didn't look it up.
No, I was asking Mark.
I haven't looked it up. I was leaving it up to you.
Just sitting in the same position.
Oh.
I thought we were gonna play Dragon Ball Z.
I assumed Kyle was looking it up.
Star Wars CCG Enhanced was part of 1998. Let's see. Total population submitted was 73, but we'll get into that in another video. In terms of Luke with lightsaber, there are 2 10s, so this is one of them.
I assume there couldn't be more.
There's
than like
18 total submitted. 5 9s, 3 8s, 2 7s, 5 6s, 1 5. So
that's a win. That's a huge win.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key character, right? Looks like there's no Han with heavy blaster pistol and no Leia with heavy blaster pistol 10s.
It seems like those would be.
Those
it
are the
seems like those would be really
chase.
hard, just because most of the regular boxes you only got one each of. So,
and those 2 cards go for more than the other ones.
And they're sealed. Like if you wanted to buy the sealed of them, you're probably paying $100 or more. So it's like a lot harder to like find ones to like crack and send in.
Yeah,
well, that's really interesting. That's one of the things I never thought of is like when you actually think about it, is like how hard would EPPs and ECC and EJP to get graded 10s of those, just because the cards are just pressed right against the front of the pack with 0 protection. It's just the card.
Well,
like
not only that,
sleeve, nothing.
Not only that, but one of my earlier videos, and I think Mark, we had talked about it, I opened up an Obi-Wan enhanced box not long ago, but the problem is the Premier ones, the way they inserted the cards into those little slips is they had like a little round half, like semicircle holding the card propped up in the box. So you pulled that out and it had a little like promo, like little wording about what it was and all that. But the problem is it bent the card a little bit, right? So I took the card and I put it into a sleeve and put it in between a big heavy book and let it sit there for like 2 weeks. And then I submitted it to Beckett and it got a 9. So so I have an Obi-Wan with lightsaber 9 that I'm very happy with.
10 PSA. I feel like 9s for Beckett could almost be 10s for PSA a lot of the times.
I think it probably would have been a 9 with PSA too. That specific card, I don't, it was a good card. I was just so worried about the bottom, but because the creases were kind of thick and the book just kind of asked the card, didn't force the card to conform back to its nice flat shape. I mean, I'm just saying. It's in my PC, so I didn't jinx, I didn't screw anybody. Like, it's in my shelf, and it looks nice, but... yeah, that trick worked.
Card repair.
Okay, so let's probably get through final thoughts here and wrap this up. We're coming up on 2 hours, and for those who are driving on their way home are probably eager to get this wrapped up. Yeah. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this. I mean, even though I got 2 Captain Panaka 6s, these will be awesome.
Makes me want to submit my Captain Panakas now.
And
new Captain Panakas, like
he'll be interested in this Jar Jar.
Now that one dude will take it. I guarantee he'll want it.
Yeah.
He cleaned me out finally, because what I did was, so he couldn't buy all of them, I only put them up like 5 at a time. but he slowly bought all the ones I had. So I have 0 Jar Jars now. And I raised the price a little, like $1 each time, until I got. I think it was up to like $11.99 or something at one point, and he still just bought them all.
It's like Magic the Gathering reserve list buyouts. He's the.
So
the
Jar Jar's like foil, non-foil, AI, non-AI. Like
no, just foil and non-foil. There's no AI for Jar Jar. General Jar Jar, there's an AI.
Oh,
regular Jar Jar, there's just the 2.
But he bought all those.
He bought every one I had. I'm not sure on foils, but every English one. I think he bought all the foils too, if I remember right. But yeah. And Mike has slowly been buying every size noodles that I have. And then one dude bought every 3PO I had, and I think I asked him why. I can't remember what he told me, but he said he liked R2 and 3PO, so I was like, okay. I was like,
all right, cool. Mark, final thoughts here.
I'm always thankful for our very loyal viewer base for sticking with us till the end. So props to you for that, and thank you for making it to our loving message for you. Love you all. Thank you for coming and joining our journey of going through 1995, 1996,
yes,
Kyle's cards.
We will definitely continue a 97 and 98 discussion probably on our next chat, which we can do the next 2-3 weeks just to kind of space things out a tad and wait for a few more submissions. I should have an HGA return coming back hopefully by then, so perhaps we can do a video then, even though it's a different company. You can get a chance to see some of those.
I actually like seeing those.
Mm-hmm.
The custom.
Those are slick.
The custom borders at the top.
Yeah,
those are super sweet.
Cool. Yeah, and I have to put together another PSA Star Wars CCG. Anyways, I haven't graded my Imperial class Star Destroyer. I haven't graded my Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. I haven't graded some other cards I put aside. I've been kind of like hesitant to send them in. I don't know. I'm just antsy about it.
I got some stuff I'm gonna send to Mark. I'll tell you what I got here. We'll see if any of these can get PSA 9s or 10s.
Yeah, so we'll have some more stuff to talk about next time.
Good stuff.
And yeah, thanks for checking out, and be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on what slab you thought was most impressive and where you see this going. That would be very helpful. All right, later.
Peace, guys.
Have a good one, guys.